Hello, boys and girls. My name is Miss Brianna. What's your name? I'm so glad you've come to read with me today. In the story Big Bad Wolf is Good by Simon Puttock, the Big Bad Wolf, well, he's tired of being bad. Nobody wants to be his friend. Perhaps it's because he's big and scary. So one day the Big Bad Wolf comes up with a great idea. He's going to change his ways and become good. But when he tries to tell all the animals his new idea, nobody believes him. Will the Big Bad Wolf be able to follow through and change his ways? And if he does, will anyone believe him and become his friend? Keep reading with me and find out.
Big Bad Wolf was lonely. He had no friends. Perhaps it's because I'm big and scary, he said. Perhaps it's because I'm bad, bad, bad. He sat and he thought and he thought. I know, he said. I won't be bad anymore. I will be good. Then somebody will want to be my friend. So Big Bad Wolf set off to be good. Mrs. Goose was in her garden with her 7 little goslings. Good day, said Big Bad Wolf politely, raising his hat. Honk, cried Mrs. Goose. It's the Big Bad Wolf. Mrs. Goose and her 7 little goslings ran into the house and they slammed the door. Oh, Mrs. Goose, said Big Bad Wolf sweetly, please open the door. I'm a good wolf now, and I've come to play with your 7 little goslings. But Mrs. Goose would not open the door. The 7 little goslings chanted, Big Bad Wolf, stay away and don't come back another day. And they made faces at him through the curtains. Big Bad Wolf felt sad. Those geese hadn't even given him a chance. He sat and he thought and he thought. I know, he said, I will be useful and good. Then somebody will want to be my friend. So Big Bad Wolf set out to be useful and good. Mrs. Chicken was going out. She was waiting for the babysitter for her 6 little chicks. Where could that babysitter be? She fussed. Ahem. Big Bad Wolf coughed politely. I would be glad to sit with your 6 little chicks. Yikes! Squawked Mrs. Chicken. It's the Big Bad Wolf. Run, children, run. They ran into the house and they slammed the door. Oh, Mrs. Chicken, said Big Bad Wolf sweetly, I'm good now. Please let me look after your 6 little chicks. But Mrs. Chicken would not open the door. The 6 little chicks chanted, Big Bad Wolf, stay away and don't come back ever again. And they made faces through the curtains. Big Bad Wolf was really sad now. Those chickens hadn't even given him a chance. He sat and he thought and he thought. I know, he said, I will be useful and good and I will do a noble deed. Then someone will surely want to be my friend. So Big Bad Wolf set off to be useful and good and to do a noble deed. Mrs. Duck stood on a doorstep calling, Where are you, number 5? Good evening, Mrs. Duck, said Big Bad Wolf. What seems to be the trouble? May I be of some assistance? Mrs. Duck flew into a rage. Quack, she cried. It's Big Bad Wolf. He's eaten poor little number 5. She rushed inside and slammed the door. Big Bad Wolf was upset. He banged and he banged at Mrs. Duck's door. Let me in, he howled. I haven't eaten anything. But Mrs. Duck would not open the door. The little ducklings, 1 to 4, sang, Big Bad Wolf, stay away and don't come back because you've eaten number 5. And they made faces at him through the curtains. Eaten number 5 indeed, shouted Big Bad Wolf. I'll show them. I won't be good. I will be bad, bad, bad. Big Bad Wolf was stamping through the woods in a terrible temper when he heard a small and sad voice. Quack, I'm lost, said the little voice. Big Bad Wolf stepped out from behind a tree. Quack, cried number 5. Quack, quack, help! It's the Big Bad Wolf. He's going to eat me. Big Bad Wolf's feelings were terribly hurt. If you don't stop being silly this minute, he roared, I will eat you. So there. Number 5 looked up. A fat little tear rolled down his bill. I want my mommy, he said. There, there, said Big Bad Wolf. We'll find your mommy. And he scooped up number 5 and put him in his pocket. Big Bad Wolf knocked at Mrs. Duck's door. Excuse me, he called sweetly. I found number 5. The door opened a tiny little crack. Have you really? Asked Mrs. Duck. Really and truly, said Big Bad Wolf. And you haven't eaten him? Said Mrs. Duck. When Mrs. Duck saw her lost little duckling, she snatched him inside and shut the front door. Bang! Big Bad Wolf walked away sadly. He had been useful and good, and he had done a noble deed. But still, nobody wanted to be his friend. A big fat tear rolled down his nose. Oh, Big Bad Wolf, cried Mrs. Duck, opening the front door. Big Bad Wolf stopped. Would you like to come inside for a cup of tea? She asked. Big Bad Wolf turned around. Yes, please, he sniffed. Big Bad Wolf had a lovely visit. He drank 3 cups of tea and ate 11 cookies. Then he played with the ducklings, 1 to 5. Thank you, Mrs. Duck, said Big Bad Wolf, when it was time to go home. Oh, thank you, Big Bad Wolf, said Mrs. Duck, for finding duckling number 5. You are my hero. Do you think, asked Big Bad Wolf shyly, that you could call me the Big Good Wolf now? Mrs. Duck laughed. Don't be silly, she said, and she gave him a big, warm hug. You will always be the Big Bad Wolf, but you are good too.